Hi, welcome back. This is Kim Perillo again from SMART, and welcome to part 2 of using SMART Learning Suite online. This time what we're going to do is deliver live teacher facilitated lessons for the purpose of synchronous learning for students and their devices. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick up where we left off from part 1. So I'm going to go back into Smart Learning Suite Online. Remember, it's suite.smarttech.com in order to go to this home screen here of your account for Smart Learning Suite Online. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that lesson that we started with in part 1, and we're going to edit it with the purpose of live teacher facilitated lesson pacing, okay, for synchronous learning. And remember, the intent there would be if the students are live in a teacher's classroom, or if they are live in a Zoom meeting, or if you guys use Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or some sort of online platform for a specific time. And you know, depending on where the location is, it doesn't matter. But if you do have a specific time that your students are going to be following you in the lesson, this is what you're going to want to know about. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go in and edit this lesson because we need to add some activities here that will be valuable for teacher-paced lessons. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down. We're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to go down to page number 7 of this lesson. And this is where we're asking the students to brainstorm what makes their local city conducive to being a civilization center. So I thought it would be really nice to use the feature of, if we click on convert to activity, one of the features that you can use in teacher facilitated lesson pacing is this collaborative workspace activity. And what that does, it gives the students the same toolbar that you saw before with individual handouts, but it allows for the teacher to put the students into groups so they can work together to complete this task. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and set that up in the editing mode. And then I'm going to add another activity. So I'm going to click on the little plus symbol. And there's several things that we can add here that needs to be started by the teacher. And that would be a shouted out activity where students will contribute answers, or maybe they're brainstorming or something, and all of those answers will live basically on a page within this lesson. You could also add a smart response assessment. Again, that has to be started by the teacher, and there's 5 different question types you could ask there. And then if we go down into one of these ready-made activity categories, like if I click on question and reflection, like for example, you're going to see that you already have some templates made for you. So you're going to have a couple shouted out activity templates. And again, you can click on the little preview to see what that looks like. So in this particular one, you can add what was something, was it like basically a positive, a negative, and then what did you find interesting during this lesson? And then this one is 3 facts, 2 questions, and 1 opinion. Or if you want to support more of the SEL aspect, social emotional learning, you can ask, do you agree or disagree with this topic? And how do you feel about the topic? So, and then we have some others down here, some handout activities. Now remember, with handout activities, the student can start those on their own. So there's no need for the teacher to start any of these. So I'm just kind of going to focus on a couple of these. So why don't we go ahead and do the 3 facts, 2 questions, and 1 opinion. This is a shouted out activity. And then I'm also going to add, oops, sorry, got a little trigger happy again. I'm going to add one last activity. So I'm going to click on this little plus symbol, and I'm going to add a question and reflection activity. And this is where, how do you feel about the topic? So this is going to be a response assessment. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, so now I am done. I am in the finish editing mode. And now I'm ready to present or start my lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start. And keep in mind, this is intended for teacher-paced mode. So if I click on the outline of my people here, that opens up a new screen where I can decide the lesson pacing. So I can keep it here on teacher-paced mode, and then I can drive the lesson for my student. And remember, I'm my own student, so here is what I see from the student point of view, and I'll kind of swap back and forth with this. But I'm going to scroll down to where we left off before. So let's do number 7. So page 7. I'm going to have to actually, now that I think about it, let's go in and let's add one more student. So then that way you can really see how groups are created. So I'm going to join as a guest, and I'm going to join, remember, I know my join code, so it's 41817. And I'm going to just call myself student A, join as guest. Okay. So then that way you'll really see once I join, I essentially have 2 students in this particular lesson. So, okay, so I need to set this up. So I've got 2 students. You can see I've got Kim and student A. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. And it's going to ask me how many teams or groups do I want. So I can do everyone on one team, which that can get a little messy if you have a large group. So I'm going to do 2 different teams. Now, ideally, I would have more students on my teams, but just you can envision this, that I would have maybe 3, 4 students on a team, and I can always move students around. So if I wanted student A on team 2 and Kim on team 1, I could do that. And I'm going to start the workspace. And what's nice about this, it allows for the teacher to monitor each team's work. So let's do something as a student. So I'm going to go ahead and add some information. Now, remember, I have my inking tools over here, my eraser, I add images, but more importantly, I probably would use my text tool with that. So I might say, I'm going to add public transportation into my answer here, okay? Now, what I'm able to do as the teacher now is I can look at Kim's team, and I can see this is the answer that I see right now. Now remember, the teacher is always going to be editor of any of this content, and I can click on the drop down arrow and I can see that that was added by Kim. So we have content attribution now, so that's really nice. You can kind of see who's added what. And what's kind of neat about this is I could give meaningful feedback now. I can say, yep, good job, maybe a little check mark, or maybe I'm going to actually type something and say, great idea, or, you know, give like some meaningful feedback there. I could even change the color of this if I want it to maybe be red, so it's it pops up right into that student's feed there. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my home screen, and then let's go to my other team, and I'm going to add maybe community, community spaces or something like that, meeting spaces or something like that. So then if I go to, again, team 2, I can see that's team 2's work here, and I can click on the drop down arrow and see who added that. So that's really kind of nice. Okay, so that's how collaborative workspaces work in a nutshell. It is very nice. And even when the lesson is over, the teacher can, or the students can always go back to this particular page and add and change their content if they need to, or the teacher can give feedback. So now I'm going to go on to page 8. This is the Shoutout Activity. I'm going to start this for my class. And now what I can do is, as the student, I can see, I can enter in my response. So remember, this is separated by categories. So I need to answer 3 facts, 2 questions, and 1 opinion based on the content or the lesson. I'll just say water is a natural resource. So that is a fact. So what I will do is pick my category and then send my response. Okay, and it says I have 5 responses left. Now from the teacher point of view, I'm going to look at my teacher screen and I'm going to see, okay, she put that in the 3 facts category. That's correct. And I can click on that to make that larger if I need to. And I can see that was added by Kim. Now in the settings tool here, you can always turn off display names. So if you want this to truly be anonymous, you could do that. So that's a shout it out activity. It's really easy and fun. It's a great way to check in with your students, kind of, you know, get feedback from them. It's just really nice and easy to do that. It's very similar to what I remember using a Padlet like years ago, and that's really it's kind of our version of Padlet. I really like that. And then finally, the last activity that I added was a social and emotional learning piece. So I'm going to start for the class here. And this is a question that my students need to answer. So now from the student point of view, I need to answer this question, and I might say, oh yeah, I'm totally getting this. And then I could click on the forward arrow, and then now I can submit all of my answers. So I'm going to go ahead and submit, and I'm done. And now I'm going to go to the teacher screen, and so you can see what it looks like here with live results. So I can already see that 1 out of 2 of my students have answered A, and that they're getting this, and I love that. So once I end this response activity, I can actually export the results down here, and it will export as a spreadsheet, so you can actually see the list of your students and how they answered each question. So even if there were more than 1 question in this assessment, I can see that, and that's a really useful tool to use. Okay, so like I said before, this is just a quick way to show you how to use teacher lesson pacing, and hopefully you know, you could try it out on your own. Keep in mind, if we go back into editing mode, I could always go back and add a little bit more beefy response assessment if I want to, but just by clicking the little blue plus symbol down here, I can go into response. And then what that allows for me to do is pick from 5 different question types. So again, it's another useful tool to get feedback from your students and to check for understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that at the moment. But I just thought we would go and continue with teacher paced mode, and how you would use Smart Learning Suite Online with synchronous learning. And please continue to follow our YouTube channel as we add more and more content. And please let us know if you have any questions at all. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information on here, Kimberly Perillo at smarttech.com. And thank you so much for watching.